All right. Hi, teachers. I want to quickly talk you through this kind of lesson and how you might use it with your kids. So, I want to start with the assessment questions because these assessment questions are pulled as much as possible from STAR. So they're the question stems from past STAR tests, but they are designed for a specific text. And as you can see here in fiction, a lot of the questions are about conflict, character, and theme. Okay. So when I look at these questions and I think, okay, what are some things that we might have to cover in class, and how might I get my kids here in a way that's either engaging or fun, or scaffolded, right, to get them there? I came up with this chart here in this story. So our objective will be to read this story whole by Andrew Porter, and it's from the Blitz resources that we've had for a couple of years now, one of my favorite stories, and we're going to analyze it for complex characters and how they contribute to theme. All right. And how they're going to do that is a way that's hopefully a little bit more organic, but will also get them to be able to answer those. So this strategy is from Beers and Probst. Notice the note, and it's called Contrasts and Contradictions. And you can look for contrasts and contradictions in a lot of different ways, but one of the most bang for your buck is for looking at it and what your characters are doing in a text. So a contrast is something that doesn't match what you know about your world, and that world can be very small, your family, your school, your friend group, your neighborhood, or it could be kind of the world, a global setting, depending if you're reading like a dystopian sci-fi or maybe a more realistic fiction set in current times out of school or something like that. So that's a contrast. It's kind of like setting things or how big groups of people act, and when it's opposite from what you know from your world. Okay. And a contradiction is when a character says, does, or thinks something opposite of from what they have previously acted or with a certain group of people, right? So maybe every day I'm a really lively person, really excited to talk to everyone, life of the party. The next day I got my hoodie up and my head's down. That would be a contradiction, right? Or I'm really lively with this group of people, and then my boss comes and I'm very different, right? That would be another contradiction. So this particular strategy and handout asks for kids to kind of look for those as they come up, contrasts or contradictions, and it doesn't matter which one's which, right? They don't need to know which one's which. They just got to be looking for these things. And then what is the meaning? Like, what do these things reveal in the text, right? And I left a place for you guys to model for your kids, because we know a lot of kids really need that. It's super helpful. And then they can put their answers below. This isn't meant to be like you got to fill out the whole worksheet, right? This is just meant to scaffold and really scaffold to those questions later about what can we conclude about the character and what does that get to theme. So hopefully they'll start seeing the characters are a little bit complex in this and in other stories. And I'm hoping that if they see some contrasts or contradictions in this story, that it'll lead to a more nuanced theme than some of the themes that we're used to seeing that are always kind of cliches that have been around for forever. So that's the thinking behind the strategy. And the reason why I picked this strategy is it gives a lot of, I think a lot of kids start to say a lot of really interesting things when they start noticing this. It's something they can easily kind of ingrain in their mind and do on the fly in a testing situation, right? It's not like a big handout. Like they could just annotate for these as they're reading and star or highlight if it's virtual. But maybe this will give them something a little bit more scaffolded to get them there. So that's the thinking behind this particular activity. And that's the thinking behind this text and why I kind of picked this activity for these questions and for fiction. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about how you might use it in class. And, you know, those questions over here are for very specific passages, right? Or paragraphs, sorry. So you might even want to tell your kids to look at these particular paragraphs for contrasts and contradictions. Or you might want to do just what do you notice a little bit more organically. That's really up to you if you choose to use this strategy. You don't have to use this text necessarily. Obviously, you can use any text, but you kind of want to mirror these questions as much as possible. And if you go to the Blitz resource page, there are like 10 more questions there than just these that are modeled after STAR questions, if you'd like to see a couple of more examples. All right, hope that helps. Hope you like this story. And yeah, see you next time.